Welcome to A Delhi Love, Ishq Muhabaat Pyaar, the podcast that treats Delhiwalas to captivating conversations on living and loving all things Delhi. Delhi is not just a place, it's a state of mind, an attitude that leaves a mark on everyone who visits or calls it home. I'm Yasmin Kidwai, your host, a documentary filmmaker, former municipal councillor, and at heart, the quintessential Delhi girl. I love how Delhi is both old and new at the same time. I value its history and heritage and love exploring the new aspects of the city we share. I'm no expert, but I grew up in the gullies here, enjoyed public service here, and just like you, shared a deep passion for Delhi's enigmatic soul. Together, let's embrace the delightful contradictions that make Delhi the city it is. After all, around every corner, there must be 1,000 dastans to share in this megacity of a million conversations. Today, we are diving deep into the heart of Delhi's street art scene. Street art could be found across the country, from the painted gods on boundary walls to prevent people from urinating on them, to the Coca-Cola and Pepsi wall art on brick houses and huts across rural Indian villages. With graffiti and street art gaining credibility around the world, thanks to artists like Banksy, who use their art to deliver various important political and social messages, public art in India too is being adopted by the artistically inclined younger generation. The Lodhi Art District is perhaps the best example of Delhi's vibrant street art culture, which has come to become a defining feature of our city. Today we will hear from Arjun Bahl, co-founder Start India Foundation, a non-profit organization dedicated to bringing cultures and communities together through public art. Start India has been instrumental in shaping Delhi's street art movement.
We spoke to Vimlaji, as we've said, Vimlaji, this wall is amazing. It'll be pretty nice if there's some art on the police station. What does Tihar have? Tihar has lots of walls, and long walls. Our first proposal was to do a young Gandhi. And the second was obviously the iconic Gandhi we all know. And then you had an old architecture built by the British. It was the last colony kind of built by the British, I believe. And if we can just put a little bit of public spaces and art in it, it makes a big difference. Right behind the biggest landfill of Delhi, and in a space which is not used for art, but people came and it was amazing.
Arjun, let's start at the very beginning. How did start?
I mean, start for all of us. We were 5 people who started Start, and I can tell you my personal journey, how it started for me.
You're a Delhi boy.
I'm born and brought up in Delhi, and I've always been excited about the entertainment space, about making people have fun. And my journey started when I was in school, finishing school, going into university. I went to I studied political science honors.
And which school are you from in Delhi?
I went to St. Columbus. But essentially, I always wanted to work in the music space. Before studying political science honors, I wanted to work on music production and sound engineering. But my mother said nothing doing, right? Right? She said, you please get a normal degree. You do whatever you have to do on the side. So essentially, just to cut the chase, is that I've always worked in the music space. I used to promote music. There was a nightclub which opened up in Noida called Elevate. So I was a part of the team and part of the planning team, programming team, even ideation team on the overall level. And for me, that's where, things started happening quite a lot. And I was obviously influenced with my sisters, who's Aparna and Anisha Bahl, who...
They're in the fashion industry,
yeah.
right?
So, I've seen fashion from a very young age. I've seen all these supermodels at a very young age, and they used to come to my house, and people like Arjun Rampal, Milan, and even Madhu Sapre and people like that. So very iconic. So I was always influenced and used to go to their shows and see how things happen. So started working in this nightclub and started becoming a promoter, getting artists from all over the world for the nightclub and beyond. And that took me to a degree, which is, I did a degree in music. My first degree was in events and tourism management. That was my master's degree from university.
After political science.
After political science. And while I was studying, I was still working in Delhi. I was doing an offline job or online job, if you may call it. And that was in University of Bournemouth, where I did events and tourism management. And from there, I was like, listen, I'm really interested in music. So I studied another postgraduate diploma. I didn't finish the master's because it's kind of the same in music business. So I thought these are the two really good tools for me to have as an education. And then I came to India and I opened a company called Crayon Events and Entertainment. Crayon Events and Entertainment in the beginning of things was a company which used to work on mall promotions, mall decors, did a few weddings here and there, did some decor work, etc., etc. And I thought that was a great base for us to have. But along the way, I met a lot of amazing people. I wanted to bring Cirque du Soleil to India. I tried bringing Cirque du Soleil, but I realized that it's very sponsorship driven. I also realized that at that time in our country, there were not too many venues to host big productions like that. And I was not reaching anywhere. I was in contact with Cirque and their team in Montreal, etc., but it wasn't going anywhere. And this was around 2007, I would say 2000. Yeah, this is where I realized. And I said, you know what, actually the Indian weddings are great. And Indian weddings is where people have money. And then I said, why can't I take some of these ideas of doing commercial events or bringing these commercial concepts, entertainment concepts like Cirque du Soleil to event spaces, to wedding spaces. And that kind of worked. So I remember my first big wedding was with a Silk Eloise, which is a company from Montreal owned by Cirque du Soleil. It's a smaller group, so a little bit more affordable. But we had almost 45 performers to 50 performers, and we created a show for a friend of mine for her Sangeet. And that was great. I almost got Cirque to India and almost felt the vibe and almost saw the excitement people had and created a show, a customized show, which lasted for about 45 minutes to an hour. And that was amazing thing. So that kind of continued. I brought in a lot of other groups, etc. So by then, 2007, 2008, I had already done a lot of DJs. We had produced probably about more than 100 DJs, from your electronic DJs, from Sasha to.
And then from music to art, how did that?
Yeah, so again, after working in this field, I had another company, with a friend of mine called Dave Perry, called Most Technical, and that was setting up nightclubs across India. After Elevate, we set up. I didn't set up Elevate technically, but we've set up some big nightclubs for the Park Hotels, the Kismet, the Aqua, Kitty Sue's, etc. And we were essentially nightclub designers when it comes to sound, light, video, and producers. So essentially that was a great tool, and I was already getting because I was working with visuals now, I was already getting very excited about the visual culture. And there's a company called Wyden Kennedy, which a friend of mine used to run, V. Sunil. And I went to his office with all my offerings, saying, sir, Mr. V, I have, entertainment to sell. I have artists to sell. In fact, we can do some cool things with video, and, maybe it can be used for your ads or with your brands. And on the way, I met Hanif Qureshi, who was a creative director with Wyden Kennedy.
Just like that?
Yeah, because we put me to Hanif, and I had known about Hanif, so Hanif and me met. And Hanif he's a creative guy. He was a creative director over there, and we just started talking. And very oddly, I had a friend at that time visiting from my college days, Lorenzo, who was a graffiti writer, and he was in my office, and Hanif came for a meeting. And, Hanif picked up his bag, and he had a lot of cans, and the noise of can is very distinct. So when he picked up the bag, and you could hear these cans.
Yeah, the clattering together.
Yeah. And Lorenzo's like, Hanif, are those spray cans? He said, yes, they are spray cans. He's like, do you paint? He's like, I paint. So this conversation started happening, and I was sitting in my office. I was like, okay, there's something happening. And then Hanif and me started talking that, what do you do? Hanif is like, listen, I want to do a festival, but I don't know how to do it. And I've been speaking to some people. Would you like to join up? And can we do a festival? And Hanif had some experience with the Khirki project.
Acha, okay.
He had worked with the team of Khirki. He was one of the people. And so I said, okay, I don't know much about this. I understand what this is. How can I help? And that's really how it started. I said, Hanif, I'm great at management. I'm probably okay at getting funding. I'm great at networking. I can bring those skills, but I don't know anything about art. And I still don't consider to know much about art.
You're like me, on the outskirts of the art world, but still there.
Yeah, I'm there. I enjoy it. I'm passionate about it. And literally that's how the Start India Foundation for us started. We didn't even know what we were doing. And then
and this was, what year was this?
This was in 2013. And Hanif was speaking to a lady called Julia, who became a partner.
The 10th year now.
Yeah, and Thanish used to work with me, who's my colleague from school. I said, Thanish, you also join in. There was a gentleman called Akshat who does amazing work in the urban spaces, and especially documenting, the underground movement or the subcultures. So he became the documentation and Hanif. So we became 5 of us.
And how long did it take for this 5 to come together and become like an organization? Was this very quick, like another creative thing where the juices just flowed and then
juices
started?
Yeah, it was juices just flowed. We worked overtime. We many times we were going with presentations looking for funding. And actually, what happened was there was a gentleman called Robin Malik who worked at Goethe. We went to him and we took a proposal which was literally small, medium, large. Small in terms of the size of festival, number of artists, and the budget, and medium similarly, and large. And it was a nice proposal, well designed. Hanif is amazing at design. So Robin said, I'll go for the medium proposal of yours. Let's do it. I'll put the first funding. And literally that's the reason we are here today, because someone believed in us, and that was Goethe. And the institution is set up to do these things, to incubate organizations like ours. And
where did you start in Delhi?
Started, first year we didn't have the company name or the foundation, etc. We started under the Crayon banner as a company, but it was Start. And the next year we formalized, and then we understood what we need to do. We also didn't know what should we do, how should we conduct ourselves, what are the festivals about. So we started creating a format for ourselves. And then year on year, obviously, we've gotten inspired, we've grown, and we are here 10 years later.
And what was the first area you worked on in Delhi? Did it start with the festival, or the area was chosen?
So the first area was Shahpur for us, and Hoskas village. Okay. Those are the first 2 areas we did our interventions, and we called it a festival. We had a bunch of artists, which were...
And when you call it a festival, it was like set for a certain number of days.
It was set for a number of days. We were pretty fluid about it as well. But we had some partners, so we had to show what is the end and...
beginning and end. I know, we have the budgets had to be taken care of.
I must also say, it was also a kind of experiment for us, right? At that time. So the first one, just to go back to your point, was in both these places, in Shahpur Jat and Hoskas village, we didn't have an office. Riaz Amlani, who is who's the owner of Impresario, and he's a stalwart when it comes to restaurants and cool concepts and food, was opening social. He'd just taken up a space in Hoskas. So we didn't know, we asked Yaz, we need space. So he said, okay, I've got this space. It was going to become a restaurant. Why don't you just guys take up a space and make that your office? Okay. And in fact, again, because of him, we had an office suddenly. And that's how we kind of started, and we presented a few murals across both Shahpur Jat and Hoskas village. And while we were presenting those murals, we also thought, let's do a small little art show. So where anti-social is today, we did our first show. And it was great because, we had a show also going on. In the first festival, we had a show. And during all these conversations, we met an amazing lady called Vimla Mehraji. Vimla Mehraji is an IPS officer, and she was the DG of Tihar.
She used to have
and she said, you guys are doing great work. Why don't you do something at Tihar?
Yes, you worked with the inmates. I was going to come to that later, but you worked with the inmates there.
So that became a part of our first show. And Hanif, working in the type and the sign language, he thought of a great concept, because what does Tihar have? Tihar has lots of walls and long walls. So, and at that time, Vimla Mehraji was publishing a book, and one of the poems was written by a female inmate called Tinka Tinka Tihar. The book was called Tinka Tinka Tihar, and I think the poem was called Char Diwari. It was her feelings, or what she feels within these 4 walls. And we thought it was a very interesting poem, and we painted the whole poem. It was almost,
and these were outside.
This was outside Tihar, so it was public. So it was, so we painted the whole poem, and what we did was we called sign painters locally, and we changed the type and the form every, let's say, 100-150 meters. So we had 5-6 different types of fonts saying the whole poem. So that became a pretty nice.
And what was the length of this? The
I
entire.
think it was under a kilometer. I think it was pretty long at that time. And we inaugurated with obviously Vimla Mehra ji and at that time the LG Saab, Mr. Najeeb Ganj, he was there, and it was, and from there we always were looking for sites, and me and Hanif I still remember at the PHQ, we were going while before that actually we were going to get permission. So first time I entered the police headquarters. I've never entered a police.
You identified that because of the
wall.
Way the wall. Yeah.
Because we were going to the office more and more. And Hanif is like, what if we do this wall? I like, this is never going to happen.
That is iconic. Mahatma Gandhi's portrait there and is iconic. And
so, one thing led to another. And suddenly we were at the PHQ seeking permissions. And then we spoke to Vimla ji. As we said, Vimla ji, this wall is amazing. It'll be pretty nice if there's some art on the police station, because police in our country is always,
and police headquarters,
police headquarters, So people are always are scared.
I've been very surprised. I mean, when I saw that, I was, it's so iconic in Delhi, but it's really surprising to be on a government wall in the police headquarters.
Correct.
But
while then Basi Saab at that time, he was the CP. He called us for a meeting. We showed him the sketch. We had two options of the sketch. We
and
knew
this is by who? Who's done this?
This has been done by two artists. The lead artist was ECB, Hendrik. He's a German artist who has a dripping style, who was again sponsored by Goethe. So we had to get a
German artist. Yes. Okay.
And he's known to do larger than life portraits. But he does portraits of unknown people.
Oh.
So there's another convincing to be done. And he was assisted by Anpu.
Yes.
So the convincing to be done to ECB Hendrik, let's call him Hendrik, was that Hendrik, we know you do anonymous faces. You don't know popular faces, and obviously, but we are at a nascent stage in our country, and we're working on the Delhi Police headquarters, right? And we are not the graffiti. This is not graffiti right now. We are taking permissions.
And he's already in India by this time?
No, he's not in India. We're talking to him. He said, you need to do us a favor, that we want to make street art. And if this happens on this building, we'll get permissions. Government will start understanding. Police will start understanding, And he said, okay, he thought about it. He said, okay, you guys are at a very early stage. You have obviously been through this many times. He said, I'll do it. So then we said, okay, what do we do? So with Mr. Basi, we had two proposals. Like I said, our first proposal was to do a young Gandhi. And the second was obviously the iconic Gandhi we all know. Now the young Gandhi is a very different Gandhi of what we see. He's a suited, booted.
Yeah, this is South Africa.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Mr. Basi said, I'm not very comfortable, because the Gandhi we know is a picture which we see.
Mahatma Gandhi.
And Mahatma Gandhi ji. So, and that's where he said, sir, but he said there's no ifs and buts over here, because this is what it is, and we don't want to create a controversy. For us, it was creating a conversation. A young Gandhi ji would have created a conversation, but this also did. So we said, okay, we'll do it. I still remember we got the permission, he signed off, and now how do we do it, right? So the wall is 120 feet.
Yes.
It's about 45 feet wide, 50 feet wide. It's a large wall. Now, how does the artist go? So I called up a friend who works in infrastructure. He's like, you have to find a thing called a boom lift. Somehow finding
he came top to bottom, or
bottom to top on a lift, on a articulated lift. So we have to find it, and we found a company called Man Lift. And obviously they had a big rate, right? Man Lift has never served an artist. They've served big construction.
Yes, I'm sure.
So he says, and I like, sir, हमारे पास इतने पैसे नहीं हैं. We don't have that money.
And how many days had you anticipated?
We had anticipated a 2-week period, but Hendrik was so fast. He finished it. We had to slow him down, because we had to do it on Martyrs Day. We inaugurated it on Martyrs Day, so we had to time it. We said, just because he had a great assistant as Anpu, and both of them worked really well. He would come at 6, typical German, 6 o'clock in the morning, and he would.
In the winter.
In the winter, January.
Because it was January.
Correct.
Martyrs Day is in January.
Absolutely. And that was it, that changed a lot of things. That Gandhiji mural changed a lot of things. It changed a lot of, even the police, the way they were seeing the art being done. People, we did a lot of workshops with the police.
What were these workshops?
We did workshops in Tihar jail. We did some with the inmates, and then also with some of the officers reached out to us separately, saying that we have such a stressful life. In fact, we went to our officer's house. He said, we have such a stressful life.
Yeah.
On a Sunday also, there's always that radio going. It's like, but we want to do art. We really love art. Can you teach us something? So, we did personally whatever we could, because everyone likes art. That's a great outcome. And now, if some of the top police officers, IPS officers are also learning art, is nothing as good as that, and we saw the light in the eyes.
Yeah, Delhi police is one of the toughest jobs in the world.
Absolutely.
So then the next was Lodhi Art District?
No, then next was pretty much in November in 2000, it was in November of 2014, we went to Bombay. We got excited. There was a thing called the Bandra Festival, which is run.
Yes.
So a friend of ours, Neil Murray, who used to run Fountainhead and Hyperlink, his old friend. He said, we said, so we want to do something. He said, why don't you link up with Bandra Festival? Why don't you join up with them? And then we met these amazing friends and ladies who were running the festival. And we said, we'll do the public art side of things. You do your music and your other things, which they do at the promenades, at both the Bandra promenades. That was the next one. So, and again over there, Riaz was there, because Riaz had St. Jude as a bakery, which has now become Veronica's restaurant. And we did a small show. Tarni Jindal gave us a space in Kala Ghoda, the Upper District house, where now there's sequel as a restaurant. So we created 2 small exhibitions, and then we did
at the same time. This was
at the same time. 2 exhibitions. Then we did a big mural over there of Dada Saheb Phalke. We had an inauguration with.
Of course, you can't miss that. So ours came first.
Sorry, of course.
Delhi,
Delhi always comes first.
Delhi always comes first. And I wanted to, because in Delhi, you've talked about Shapur Jat and Hauskas, but the Lodhi Art District is perhaps, I think, because of the location and the accessibility, is perhaps the most iconic one. And for those who don't know it, let me just tell our listeners that Lodhi, the Art District, these are government officials' homes, and these were these complete blank walls, and which have now come alive, and I think is a must visit destination for any tourist who comes into Delhi, and even for Delhiites. It's like, I think it's something which a lot of Delhiites take pride in. So how did you come to? Were you called to do that, or was that, did you choose the walls, the big blank walls?
No, we were not.
Or the walls called you.
The walls called us. The area called us. The importance of the area called us.
What did you feel about the importance? The location, the central location?
I think, of course, there's a central location, but it's also around very important architectural and monuments.
Yes.
It's also around behind India Habitat Center, Institute Francis, a lot, you have the
and all the
India
government offices,
Club.
The culturally,
it's culturally very rich.
Yeah.
Plus, when we went there, we wanted to create a space which is for pedestrians, and that was a place which is perfect for pedestrians. If you see, unfortunately, it's not Delhi with the way it is at this point.
Yeah.
There's not very pedestrian friendly.
It's not a workers' city,
exactly.
For sure. Yeah.
So and then you had an old architecture built by the British. It was the last colony kind of built by the British, I believe. And it was pedestrian
I didn't know that. That's been built by the British.
Yes, it was the last. Okay. So it's so it was the last colony built by them. And if you see, it was very homogeneous infrastructure in terms of the architecture. So the buildings are the same. There are 2 types of buildings, etc.
Facing each other.
And there's a great footpath. So great for walking. Great, and there's not so much thoroughfare. So if it's in grids, right?
Yeah.
So that grid really worked for us, and we said that अगर ये permission मिल जाए तो बहुत अच्छा हो जाएगा. And I must say, at that time, we struggled a little bit for permission, because it's an important part of Delhi. And then finally, DOAC was kind enough to allow us that permission after obviously checking what we wanted to do and what the future is. And, and it was 1 mural came up, 2 murals come up, and now we have almost 60 plus murals over there.
60?
Yeah. I mean, we have more, but some of them have gone because the buildings are crumbling. The buildings are as you know, it will be redeveloped at some point. The buildings are, the cement is giving away. It had to be redeveloped long ago. But what Lodhi has given to all of us, it's a project which is built by the community, for the community. We work and engage with the community, and this also we realized. It's not like the first day we realized what we need to do. It's a part of the practice.
Process of going through.
Absolutely. So it's a process which took time, and now people take pride in it. And people. it's a space, like you said, it serves as a tourism destination of Delhi. It's also a space where people do shoots and all your influencers are there. It's a place where people come and talk. And when we do festivals over there, we take up streets, we shut streets, we do music, we do workshops on the streets. And people, we've been so blessed with our partners, people like Asian Paints who have supported us. And without any understanding what we want to do. And in fact, just recently we did an amazing project about 6 months ago in March with Kiran Nadar Museum of Art, and we did the Lodhi Festival, where we had big music performances, because we want to celebrate Lodhi as much as possible before it goes into redevelopment. And it's a great case of study, because it's a very unique district. You don't see branding anywhere, right? It's pretty muted. The art is, we're all,
it is.
Is what it is. And beyond us, you see different kind of people coming in, doing tours, walks. Like I said, music performances. So it's activated as a space, as much as we can. And now the next 6-8 months or the next 1 or 2 years till Lodhi is there, we're going to make sure it gets more and more activated with people and coming and using the space, be it workshops, be it talks, etc. Because it's an important space in Delhi. It's a space there's no entry for, there's no gates over there. It's open for all.
It's accessible.
You can park over there, you can walk over there. It's a safe space, and there's art over there. So,
and that's a huge thing. Like as a woman, I would think that safe spaces in Delhi is like, and there are such few spaces which are available for all. But listen, most of your work is concentrated in Delhi. Like and why is that? I mean, I can think of a million reasons. There are Delhi is this city of architecture, heritage, history. There are photographers, artists, poets, but why did you particularly? Is it because you belong to Delhi, or Delhi seems like the epicenter of it all?
By virtue of our presence in Delhi, you obviously do more on your own city. We're all from Delhi. We love Delhi. Julia's from Italy, but she lived in Delhi for 8-9 years. Hanif was from Gujarat, but then his professional career got him to Bombay and then Delhi. So he considers himself as a Delhiite. Dhanish, again. Even though he's from Kerala, but he's a Delhiite.
Yeah, but Delhi takes everybody in.
And Delhi allowed us the space of Lodhi Art District. It gave us the opportunity of Lodhi Art District and some few great projects like with the Container Corporation of India, with the Inland Container Depot with containers. So while a lot of our work is in Delhi, the biggest art district of ours in Delhi, but I would say today our work in Mumbai is a lot more. Like the Urban Art Festival which we do, now we're calling it the Mumbai Urban Art Biennale, is going to be, now we just finished one in 2023.
You started it last year.
Last year. I mean, we've done something back in the day in Sasondok, but now 2024 edition is coming up in December. So Bombay has obviously taken a lot of our time. We have a small office there. We have people working from there. We have some of the urbanists and planners over there. And more than Bombay as well, we're working a lot in the south. We're working a lot in Chennai. We find the people are very receptive. We find the officers are very receptive. We understand, wherever there's urban changes happening, I think an organization like ours fits, because there's so much hard infrastructure which is being built in our country. And if we can just put a little bit of public spaces and art in it, it makes a big difference.
No, but that's also about kind of sensitizing the government to it.
Correct.
And you have been working a lot with even if I would take a simple example of the Lodhi Art District, there must have been at least 4 to 5 to 6 government agencies. How do you untie this knot? Because Delhi, I mean, there would have been the CPWD, there's the Delhi government, there is the central government which is based here, the urban development, the different ministries, and how
MCD.
do you... MCD is a huge, that is also the MCD area.
One side is MCD and the other side is NDMC. It's a thin line.
Yeah, you're in a thin line actually. At many times, the Lodhi Art District is there's quite a both.
Correct.
They can claim it as their own or leave it as nobody's child. So how have you kind of worked your way through this? I mean, like you said, the police headquarters, getting that endorsement from the department like the police would have helped, and to have that iconic thing which no Delhiite can miss, Mahatma Gandhi's painting with it.
I think to be very honest, without saying it because we are talking over here and openly, it's been the most amazing experience for us, because intentions are very straight for us. We want to bring cool art for the youngsters and for our young India out there. We want to make street art accessible. We want to make art in general accessible and democratic. We want to take art from, I'm not saying take out, museums and galleries have their own spaces, but we want to make art for all, right? So the intention was always that. And I think people understood the intention. People saw that we're not coming in painting advertisements or posters, So I think that's why, in fact, it was so overwhelming. They wanted us to do more. And we had to slow down with our own time, resources, bandwidth, etc. So I think that intention, I always tell my friends, that's a question you've asked me. A lot of my friends who are from the art and different businesses or different life, how do you work with the government?
Yeah.
But my question is...
The perception is always that it will be difficult if you're working...
But it's easy to sit in your room on your computer and say, how do you work on it? But to try is different. If you try, you will be surprised. There are so many people out there, so many officers from the junior most
who want to do good work.
To the senior, who want to do work.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And that is it. I mean, I've been asked, have you ever tried? Ask anyone. No, yaar, meko dar lagta hai. I think this will be there. I think they will not allow me.
Yeah.
But
no, I agree with you. And I've had the same experience. Like, people will say, we'll work with corporate, but we won't work with government. And I mean, I think there are as many good or bad people anywhere. And I guess it's the intention. If they're seeing the intention, perhaps it has been
and finally, while we were management kind of people, but we are also excited about the art. So when they saw us, and they saw us day in and day out, we are requesting for permission or we are asking for things for a logical reason, and there's nothing controversial which we want to do at this point.
But it was a new concept. In the sense of, thinking art in public spaces, art as being, art for the public. And, so those were new concepts. From that point of view also, it's commendable even for all the government agencies who have come on board.
Correct.
And now, in fact, we see a lot of government agencies using art
Absolutely.
for public messaging.
Absolutely.
I mean, when I was a municipal councillor in Delhi, I've also used it to kind of push, get involvement of children.
Correct.
Or push public toilets and all to get because the MCD was interested in using art.
Absolutely. And I mean, in our country we use God pictures so that people don't
urinate on walls. Yeah.
So why can't we do art? And it's a thing which
And also, it's not something. Street art is not new. I find it from Bhimbetka to the Ajanta Ellora caves. They've always kind of expressed. In fact, I was reading somewhere that Pompeii it's been discovered that there were street art paintings in Pompeii. So it is an ever. But you were talking about the government and you mentioned the community. How do you involve a community in this, and especially in the areas that you worked? See, street art in Delhi, we know of it as starting at Khirki, which you mentioned, and there was some kind of messaging coming out, and then there was horse cars, and there's been Shahpur Jat to a sense, and which are those places have come alive with public art, but one wouldn't expect this art to be there. So how have you kind of engaged the community? And when I mean engage, I mean both ways, for the crowd to participate and also to accept it, because only then can it be sustainable. Otherwise 2 days and somebody spat on that wall and it's gone.
Yeah.
So how have you done that?
I mean, firstly, we can't do much if someone spits on it. The nature of art is that it doesn't stay forever. But it's usually people don't. But that's the reason you have to get the community.
Yes, that's what. Yeah. Right? So how does that happen?
We obviously work. Few months before. I'll give you an example of Lodhi, for example. I think that's the easiest example for me to explain as well. Just a few months before we start the process, we start with working with the locals over there, with the community. Are there a RWA? Are there some societies? Are there some NGOs? What's happening? What are the schools? Understanding what are the kind of people there? What do they probably need? And just start getting a pulse. For us, Lodhi became easier because we had already done some work, so we already had a network of things. But then, you start with a questionnaire. We distributed about 8,000 questionnaires.
Oh, okay.
Understand what people want. Are people looking for art for certain messaging? Are they interested in art? Can they paint? Can they draw? Can they become artist assistants? Do they have a skill? What is the skill they have? Do they think there are certain probably dark spots maybe in their place? Do they want to participate in workshops? Do they want to learn or upskill if they don't know anything? Do they want to participate in a workshop which is literally like a tie and dye workshop or a bag making workshop? Lodhi has a lot of tailors, as you know. It used to. We used to collect all the trash of the tailors, the ends, and try to see if we can do workshops for the aunties over there who are generally the aunties would do. The ladies were interested more in the workshops than the men. or do they want to learn about how to write a signboard? So those are the questions which we kind of brought in, and then we understood what are the kind of people. We got some answers, and then we segregated those people. So people who wanted to do workshops, we tailored 3 or 4, 5 types of workshops for them, be it a dance, drama, painting, showcase. So we used the Lodhi Merchant Market lawns over there. You've seen the lawn opposite the restaurants which are there next to opposite Yamuna Chemist. So use that as a space for teaching them, certain just dance moves which they could finally showcase. Or people who wanted to paint, we gave them materials. We got an artist. He gave them a task. They started learning. They gave them a template. So that. And or people wanted to do, like I said, the upcycling workshop, right? So all these things.
And this
finally,
process took how much time?
It took about a month and a half before we actually started. Month and a half, 2 months. And it's an ongoing process of conversations. It's not something which we leave.
Because a wall, it's an alive wall. It's a live
absolutely.
wall.
And every year we do it. No, Lodhi, it's not one time push. Every year we'll put more murals, ideas that. And not only with Lodhi Art District, but with our other art districts across India, which we have now. So, you started segregating people and you did a showcase. So you showcased some of their work as well. So we had an open exhibition with all the paintings, literally with clips, we showcased the painting. People felt also good.
And they felt a sense of ownership. Yeah.
And then some of them said, hey, actually I have some skills. Can I work with the artist as assistant? So they became artist assistant. Some had great stories to tell and narrate about Lodhi. And artists, when they come here, they know what they kind of want to do, but the first job for artists is to immerse themselves in the environment. We try to give them an assistant.
So it's not like an artist comes with a set painting that I'm going to paint this.
I mean, different processes. They know probably what their framework would be, but the idea is to take from the curation, from the people, and understand what the city is. We encourage them to spend at least the first 4-5 days understanding where you're working, understanding the people. We try to give them an assistant. We try to make them meet locals and understand what's happening, and thereby creating a mural, because then it's more real. And also people's stories are somewhere told in the murals. So those are ways which we do. And one of the other things which we did was, we created a mural called Saath Saath, and so there were some recurring words which are coming out of the questionnaire or what they want to do. So there was a master artist who created a composition, but then there was a smaller artist from literally 6 years old to 80-year-old.
They became a part of this?
Yeah, they came a part of it. So every Sunday they would come and put these words whenever they got time with the artists. So this is the mural which was in fact just pictured with Mr. Tim Cook. He came to visit Saath Saath mural. So that's why he also wanted to see the community-based mural. So, those are the ways which we engage, and it's amazing. I'll tell you, this kind of network of communities go beyond art. During COVID, and this is in Chennai at the Kannagi Art District. We had already done a lot of projects in Chennai at the district. And now the municipal commissioners wanted to tap into the network we have created. Just for the COVID matter, just to talk about the sensitization of COVID, what to do, what not to do, and also then finally the vaccination, etc., which came in a few 6-8 months later. But they tapped into that network. They said, who are you talking to? Who's your network? Who's your group leader? So we gave all that information so that they can also do it.
Because creating a community, I mean, that's the first step. Then you're building the ecosystem.
Absolutely.
And today they take pride in the ownership of. And how do you find it in Shahpur Jat or Hauskas? How did you because that was. I mean, anybody who knows Delhi knows that those are traditionally conservative communities. And
conservative, but also if you see, those are the areas where first
it came up.
Or not even art, but the first cool restaurants came up over there. Bina Ramani's restaurants came up there.
Yes,
first cool shops came up there.
Course.
It was really cool at one point.
Yeah, at one point it's a perfect fit, but still it's conservative. And the art is like you're painting on their walls.
It was private walls. Yeah. So you had to ask permissions. Yes. You had to wait. Some said no. Some said yes. The ones who said yes, they enjoyed it. So the guys who said no, they said हमारा भी कर दो paint. And some thought कि यार functional है ना, क्योंकि अगर आप पेंट करोगे तो मेरा वॉल तो थोड़ा और लास्ट करेगा, वाटरप्रूफिंग भी अच्छी हो जाएगी. किसी के घर पे शादी थी तो उन्होंने कहा हमारा भी पेंट कर दो. फिर कुछ लोगों ने व्हाइट वॉश के लिए भी बुलाया. So हमने सब कुछ किया. So they were happy, and people came with their own requests. They said, one person, for example, this is in Shahpur Jat, this is a true example. One of the artists found a girl pretty sad, and he used to interact with this girl or a boy, a family, quite often because he's painting right next to their wall. And he's like, why are you sad? They said, I lost my dog. So, so I'm sad, I lost my dog died. So artist very sweetly said, okay, I'll come tomorrow. No one knew what he wanted to do. We went and made a stencil of the dog and painted the dog in the house, So that's a really nice act, I mean, you can't replace the death of the
Achha,
animal.
she lost
She lost the dog, so and
Okay.
they painted it. Or someone wanted a mandir to be painted, or Bhagwan Puj. So not that we try to do religious work. We don't want to get into religion or anything like that. But those are things which we've done in the past. It's not
to
even
integrate within the community.
And it's important because for us also, when we go into these places, we also love it. People are so excited. In fact, we want people to open their house for visitors, and some of the times we've tried to do projects where we're doing food projects that everyone makes different kind of food. There are artists, there are people. Can we create a potluck system within Lodhi Art District, for example, to exchange food? Right?
Have you done that, or that's a plan?
Not as yet, but if I do, I'll call you.
Yeah, please do. You said food.
But we've been wanting to do things like that.
Lovely.
And now, we are trying to create layers on our art districts. Okay, there's art, there's communities, but how can we create more layers? So, doing more community-based programming, like what I just said right now. We want to see about, can we create a cycling track over there, right? Which is really, really important. Cycling today has become a very important thing, and there are cycles which you can rent. Can we have a cycling stand? So people can cycle over there around, Can we create some road safety? Because, those are things. So this is going more into the urban part of things and the urban issues. And for us,
but that's what art is, right?
Correct.
It's like it doesn't remain in street art, especially it can't remain in isolation. And in fact, street artists all over the world, they take up issues which are of social justice and
correct.
And is that, do you find that happening here also when they come and they're interpreting and trying to soak in from the area and thought process or messages, like you said, they don't come with a preconceived notion of
correct.
what we are going to push out there.
Yeah.
And tell me, how do you work with this part of the process, curating the artist and deciding who you're going to collaborate with and who? That must be the exciting part, no? Like,
I mean, we have
that's not management. That's
that's not management. But that's Julia and her team, her curation team takes care of it. But by now we have obviously a network of artists we want to work with. There's a certain curation Julia wants to bring about in the process, and the team wants to bring up in the process, and also it depends on at least the Indian artists. There are not so many of them, but it's a growing field today. Today you see there's a lot of artists who are working in the streets. There are obviously a lot of artists in our country anyway, but you're working at a 3,000 square feet space, which is about 30-35 feet high, and about. So, there's a...
But we haven't reached there in India. Like, internationally, you have Stake and Banksy and all who've pushed the boundaries of pen and paper, and they have come to, they have chosen street art as their canvas. In India, we are still, I think...
We are reaching there.
We are reaching
but
there.
we are reaching there very fast.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We're reaching there very fast. With so many organizations. Now, even galleries picking up art or selling street art. Today, about a Banksy is because of the numbers he's hit. Today a Banksy is more well known than a Damien Hirst.
Yes, exactly. And all over the world.
All over the world. I mean, today's Banksy painting sells more than any of the Indian masters painting has sold. And he's still a living artist. And it's all because of the internet generation. It's all about that, and also about socially what he wants to talk about, etc. So it'll happen in our country.
Now we're talking of the internet generation. How have, your work is like, bricks and mortar on the ground, but how have you leveraged the power of the internet or social media for your work?
I mean, it's how...
Has helped you reach out to people.
Absolutely.
Or do artists get in touch with you?
Artists get in touch with us, potential partners get in touch with us, potential collaborations which are beyond financial or we end up doing. So I mean, internet has been the most important part of this process, I would say. While you say, because my work lives online, our work rather lives online forever. We have curated exhibitions, for example, at the Google Arts and Culture. So it's more than and in terms of communication, it's pretty strong as well. And we are an organization who's never bought a single printed ad, let's say, or a billboard. You
never bought it.
Yeah, we never bought. We never done advertisements. But of course, we promote ourselves online. Promote the art which we work on. Promote the projects. So our work is mostly offline. Online essentially. So it's been our go-to communication tool for sure.
And it's brought people closer.
It's brought people closer.
Even in the art community. I mean, I must have met so many people, which with all my criticism of the social media, I have to eat back my words now. because you have met so many people. Now, speaking of collaborations, you're talking of, you were saying, are you talking of Asian Paints, who's been
Correct.
a major sponsor? How challenging is that? Because street art, by its very nature, is this about social justice and it's about issues, and then you're curating the artists, and how do you marry? The corporation, the corporate must be having its own demands. And how do you marry those two? Does it interfere, or has it been a facilitator in your case?
I don't think it's been interfering at all. We've been given a free hand. Obviously, we need to know what we're talking about for the company as well as corporate have their own way of working. We try to take support from them and not sponsorship, let's call it. It's not like they're commissioning us to do something.
Fair enough.
It's something which we as an organization have a plan. We have a 5-year plan. This is what we want to do, and they come and support it. For an Asian Paint, it becomes pretty simple because we're using paints.
Yeah,
right? It's the medium of our work. So the integration is as simple as paint. And it's and we have been able to work. Let's say even understanding how the paints work. I mean, we know like our colleague just said that the Tihar jail is still okay.
Yes,
apparently.
The ball.
So
that's commendable.
That's commendable. Yeah. That's 10 years now. 9 years now.
Yeah.
So it's been a great happy partnership. Like I say, and it's not like it's something which we see as a long-term gain because it's a kind of a small mini revolution which is happening in the visual art street. With the foundation's effort, there's so much more happening in our country.
Yes.
And they'll keep on happening. And there are so many artists.
And it's kickstarted it now because now the success is bringing more people
Absolutely.
to join.
Like as we speak right now, there's a festival in Guwahati.
Of street art?
Yeah, of street art. So
it was
how
lovely.
New art it's called, I think. I just saw it today. So it's great. And that means there are so many more people doing art in different cities, and that's
but Delhi led the way.
Delhi obviously,
yes,
yeah.
Delhi led the way.
No, but we still haven't been able to put the We Love Delhi sculpture as yet. We made it back in the day. We made it about 8 years ago. So we still haven't. But I have I Love Mumbai. We have a
really? What is stopping you?
We are not able to seek the right space and the permission for it, but we will hopefully.
the famous guy. I hope somebody listens into it and gives you the permission very quickly.
We will. I think we also have to kickstart the process. We want to make it an iconic sculpture, but
I do think really Delhi. Jokes. I do think that Delhi took the lead, and
absolutely,
and all credit to you guys that the Lodhi Art District became something which is almost iconic.
Absolutely, it's a case study for all cities.
It's a case study. Yeah.
In fact, people call us. Municipalities call us, we want to do art district like the Lodhi Art District. You had the Tim Cooks
I would love
of
for
the world.
Something like that to come up. Not just the Lodhi Art District. Of course, it's a great space, but for another one to come up, it would be. Have more people have access to it.
Correct.
But
and like the Sundar Nursery, what amazing space.
Yeah.
Why can't we create a sculpture park over there?
Yeah.
And that was my always a dream to do something.
You should have met our other guest, and
I know, but I missed him. But next time.
Next time, no, we'll get you all together. Yeah. So, having said that, how do you measure the impact of the? How do you measure impact? How do you measure the success of a project? That's
pretty tough, actually, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because
is it community involvement, or is it how do you? Art to measure, frankly, to be fair to you, to measure the impact of art itself. How does one do that? But in this case,
the impact of art is, for us is, I see, at least we see a lot more people interested in the field, and that's pretty evident with the amount of messages and the DMs we get or the emails we get on a daily basis. I see, organizations, partners and partnerships, people asking to partner with us for many, many things. It may be for advertising things, which we don't do, like a lot of organizations. I don't want to name any in particular, but I see that, people are using art as a medium of campaigns a lot. I see also the genre of artists who are being able to sustain themselves as a full-time
which is important for any artist. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I also see when we put up a call out, how many people come for it. I see at the Lodhi Art District, the festival which we did along with KNMA and Asian Paints, it was raining 2 days. Both the days.
KNMA for our listeners who don't know, I'll just this thing is the Kiran Museum of Arts based in Delhi.
Correct.
Yeah.
So they've been doing some amazing work, as we know.
Yeah.
And we, even though it rained out 2 days pretty badly, we had 8,000 people on the second day just after the rain. So it was huge.
Yes, that's.
And give an example of the last big festival we did in Mumbai. We commissioned a research. We had 3 lakh people coming to the festival in total.
In the Bandra festival.
In the Mumbai Urban Art Festival.
Okay.
Which just culminated in Feb 2023. 3 lakh people is pretty big number.
Yeah.
And they all documented people from the that was a big number, and people from all over. We had and for us, I still remember we were not expecting more than 4,000 to 5,000 people a day, because we usually are used to that kind of crowd, but we were getting 15,000 people a day, and they were such, I was like, where are these people coming from? And they're so cool. All of them have, they were looking, they were young.
And they're interested.
They know about the artists. They're reading the plaques. They have their own fan following. They follow certain artists. They know what's happening.
But something, I don't know, you of course must be realizing it. And I have, since I'm a little bit a part of the art world, I realize that people have this, a little fear of entering or a gallery space, or they don't know. So it does seem by its very nature inaccessible, especially perhaps to the youth, which is what I think is amazing, that street art is open and accessible.
Absolutely. There's no high gates. It's for all.
It's for all.
And it's for people to come and express themselves. We saw it in the Inland Container Depot, where again, it was in Tughlaqabad. We didn't think people will come. We were like, what are we doing in Tughlaqabad? Log aayenge nahi aayenge? We lied and said it's Okhla and not Tughlaqabad in our communication.
Okay.
Because Tughlaqabad
the marketing strategy. Yeah.
So thoda sa humne kara, but it was literally Okhla. Tughlaqabad is right there.
I know that. Yeah.
And people were coming. Like, we had, I think, 45,000 visitors there, and it was only open 4 times a week. And people came, they enjoyed themselves.
And how many days was this on?
I think it was under a month in total number of days. I think we were open for 20 days also, and it was spread over about a month and a half. I'm not able to get the right dates, but we had a lot of people, and right behind the biggest landfill of Delhi, that the landfill, as you know, is the biggest landfill in Delhi. And it is a space which is not used for art. It is one of the largest inland container depots in India, which is run by Concor, Container Corporation of India. But people came, and it was amazing. And they were all coming, and they were not coming alone. They were coming with their families. Kids were coming. Grandmoms and grandfathers were coming. They were listening to the poetry things which we were doing, the music things which we were doing. We were having events every weekend. There was some food elements. They came, and it was amazing. And
Arjun, tell me, what is the sense that you get? What does street art do for people? You're pushing it. I'm all for propagating it. But, heart of hearts, what do you feel that street art
I think it opens up conversations between communities, between people. You could be living with your neighbor and never even speak to him. But when you have something going on and there's some activity happening and there's a third party involved, bringing people together, working on your walls which you live in, let's say Lodhi Art District, it brings in a conversation, It brings in a conversation. And I think right
now this community building and conversations is perhaps, as a society, I think
very important, because it's become so polarized,
Yes,
and unfortunately, this, like you say, there are good things about the social media, there are bad things also.
Yes, correct.
There's a lot of good and bad which we both know, but the thing is bringing people together and also seeing this is our young country. This is a very young country of ours, and it's the youngest country in the world. What can we do in our public spaces? How can we create art and
make
beauty
it for all, make public spaces for all.
And such country is growing, and this is the time for organizations like us, for all of us, to contribute in the public spaces. Otherwise, everyone needs help. Everyone needs that. So if this is my specialty, I'm ready to work with the municipality to see what else can we do. How can we make it better?
Contribute to the community and society in that sense too.
Because it will become better and better. Our country is already getting cleaner. People are now have the notion of rakhna hai ghar, saaf rakhni hai apni surroundings. It's happening, but it takes time.
But tell me, before we end, out of all the work that you have done with Start in Delhi, which is your most favorite, your personal favorite?
I think because of the challenges we faced with the Mahatma Gandhi ji mural, obviously that's the most favorite one. I fear one day it'll go away.
Yeah, the first is always...
it was a big scale, and we didn't know what to do. And I still remember the CP Saab telling us that the Mahatma Gandhi ji should look like Mahatma Gandhi ji.
Yes, of course.
Otherwise, I'm telling you, the jail is not as a joke. So we're like, we'll make sure it looks like Mahatma Gandhi ji, of course. And we had the best artists, Anpu and ECB,
Yes.
Hendrik, coming in painting it. It was
No,
a great
it's
start.
iconic. And okay, and next, what is the next big one you'll do in Delhi?
Next big one is we are hoping to do something in February. So right around the corner, another festival at the Lodhi Art District.
Perfect.
Which hopefully encapsulates music, workshops, various performances, art. Obviously, last time we went to doing yoga and meditation on the street as well.
Anything that brings people together and
Anything that brings
communities
people
together.
and we need to celebrate Lodhi and enjoy it as much as we can till it goes away.
Okay. And on that note, Arjun, thank you so much. It was an amazing conversation about all things Delhi and art, and making art accessible, which is something which both you and I are very passionate about.
And thank you, Yasmin, for getting me here, and also all the work you do, and I hope to work together.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on this immersive journey through Delhi street art and for tuning into A Delhi Love. Keep exploring, keep creating. Until next time, this is Yasmin Kidwai signing off.